What's up, everyone? We're back. I'm Dr. Shah.
Dr. Maxfield.
And welcome back to our channel, Dr. Lee, where we talk about all things skincare and dermatology. And today, we're going to be reviewing Paula's Choice, the best and worst of Paula's Choice. And we'll explain a little bit about who Paula is, at least what we're able to glean from the internet. But this has been a brand that has somewhat been a favorite of mine since I got into skincare. And I think it's because it's very clear about what the products do, what's in them. And then they also do a lot of education on their website, which was really helpful for me when I was learning about all the ingredients at first early on in my dermatology training. But we're going to be talking about some of our favorite products, some of our least favorite products, and more about the brand in general.
Yeah, so Paula's Choice, like extremely education focused, which sounds like it would resonate with us, and it kind of does, like spoiler alert. But we will talk about the best and the worst, all things Paula's Choice. Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so tell me and tell them, who is Paula?
Paula Begoun, I believe I'm saying her name correct. I could be completely wrong. She is a pioneer in the beauty industry. You know, she launched her book in 1985. The skincare brand launched in 1995, became like a digitally led skincare brand, way ahead of its time. People are selling products online, grew the brand to massive size, and then did take some investment like in 2000 something, but then finally sold the brand entirely to Unilever in 2021 at a $2 billion acquisition, which is massive, massive, massive for a skincare brand, and pretty much had no retail footprint when she sold the brand. So it wasn't in Target. It had just launched in Sephora, but had built basically this entire community online entirely that were buying these products. And she was debunking myths online. She was putting all this education on her website, Beautypedia. It was like the first encyclopedia of skincare information that had evidence behind it and resources and science behind it, and was way ahead of its time. And I think became even more relevant in 2020 when people started to learn more and more about skincare and more about ingredients, and realized Paula's Choice is kind of like the heart of that, like the first brand to do this, the first brand to really build a community around the science. And truly for me, you know, after launching Remedy, even the lead up to Remedy inspired a lot of the content that we created and inspired even the brand. So I look at Remedy almost like the derm version of what Paula's Choice did, really kind of ingredient backed, ingredient focused, science focused, evidence focused, and then kind of like the derm version, which is just taking multiple of these ingredients, combining them into one formula to have really, really efficacious products. So very, very sort of similar, and truly she's inspiration to me, I would say.
It's actually pretty wild that she was able to grow this in the 1990s. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I remember my computer from 1995. I think in 1997, I was playing Age of Empires. Shout out to the two of you who played that game. It's just wild to see someone so far ahead and just like kind of honestly a visionary, because this is the cornerstone of modern skincare, like through and through. And even now, if you've never done skincare before and you want to learn somewhere, I mean, this is a great website. It'll walk you through the ingredients. You can do skincare consultations. They're going to hold your hand while you get your footing in the skincare space. And I think the world of the whole line. Now, even before the video, I was like, okay, what's my worst gonna be for this product line? It's tough to find one.
Yeah, so truly, because a lot of the ingredient call outs that we mention, a lot of the principles of skincare that we always talk about, those are sort of encompassed in the principles of Paula when she was creating her brand. So it's very difficult to be critical of the products within the line, because all of the products kind of fit within those categories, especially from an ingredient standpoint. So any criticisms will really be around, is this product really necessary? Is it as good as it could be? Is the percentages where we want them to be? But really, there's no negative ingredient call outs, because their formulation guidelines are very similar to our thought guidelines on how we recommend products. So it's very difficult to be critical. So we're a lot of times going to be just highlighting products that we love from the brand.
So I have an order of how I would like to begin this operation. You're also going to see me shifting my weight a lot this video, because we worked out this morning, which he's doing amazing, by the way. Like every time I come in, we shoot now, like we're exercising, sometimes even at like 7 a.m. It's pretty wild, but I have a flow with this. So I want to use the mineral sunscreen, and this is the barrier support mineral sunscreen. It has allantoin, it has Centella asiatica, one of my favorite supporting ingredients of all time. It combines titanium and zinc, and I'm kind of hoping it's casty, and it's got to be a little casty. It like just has to be, even if it's amazing, it has to be a little casty for what it is. So we'll just let this go. It's very, very lightweight, actually. For a pure mineral sunscreen, it's very lightweight.
You know, with titanium dioxide, you're almost always going to have a little bit of a white cast with these formulas. But overall, there's nothing negative to call out from the ingredient list. They have another sunscreen. I'm just going to kind of like put these two together into one. So they have the Barrier Protect Mineral Sunscreen, and then they have the Youth Extending Daily Hydrating Fluid. If you could have one criticism of Paula's Choice skincare lineup in general, is that there are so many products that it's difficult to go through all of them, but we'll try to go through as many as we can. So this sunscreen, which is their chemical-based sunscreen, was a sunscreen I used for a very long time. It was a product that I loved. It blends perfectly into the skin. It's invisible. It's super lightweight. Pretty much no matter what your skin tone is, you're gonna love this sunscreen. It just suddenly started to like irritate me, like almost I would get itchy. So I think I'm somehow allergic to one of the ingredients in here, but because there are no common allergens in this product, it's difficult for me to even pinpoint what it is. So I just had to stop using it. But it's a sunscreen that I loved for a very, very long time. So mineral wise, pretty close to invisible outside of your beard.
That's as good as you can hope for with a pure mineral sunscreen, so I'm probably blocking the camera. And it'll set in, like any sunscreen will set in a little bit more. I'm gonna give it a little more time, but that's a good blend. Where's squalane on this list? Interesting. So squalane is not high up on this list. So squalane has become the foil for mineral sunscreens and the white cast. It's like the vehicle. But when I was applying it, it didn't seem to have that squalane feel. Anyway, so for mineral sunscreen though, this is great. Like this is gentle. A lot of mineral sunscreens, especially with the, butyloctyl salicylate, that filter enhancer thing, that irritates my skin quite a bit now, but this is great. If you're looking for a mineral sunscreen, this is great. I would say if I had to criticize, I'd like maybe a 4-ounce bottle. Who knows? But that's splitting hairs. I think it's wonderful.
So it's a great sunscreen. And then do you want to remove that said sunscreen?
If it's ready.
Let's see. So then we're going to follow up with their Omega Cleansing Balm.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of cleansing balms. I've moved away from micellar water personally. I like the way balms. Oh no. Well,
so one of the challenges is that anytime that you have a cleansing balm in a tube, the oil can separate from the rest of the balm. And so that's what happened here. It's been sitting on a shelf for probably 6 months. And that's probably the reason why that happened.
Yep. All right, let's try this again. But now, that's better. This is like a Vaseline feel. This is interesting. It's not like your prototypical cleansing balm. We're gonna avoid the right hand altogether because it's just covered in oil. It kind of smells minty, but I don't think there's any mint in it. It's just like, it's an ingredient that just smells minty. It's fine, it's fine. Now the test is, let me go get something warm, wipe it off. I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. Clean Skin Club towels making another practical appearance. So I know it works. Ooh, it's a lot of residue though. I don't know if it's because the oil had separated, but it's a little bit greasy for me. It just feels more greasy than like leaving the skin hydrated. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite cleansing balm, but again, this is just an anecdote. This is an N of 1, and let's see if it worked. Yeah. It worked fine, as expected. So again, I don't think it's my favorite cleansing balm. I don't have any hard knocks on it necessarily, but unless that happens to everybody, and then that's a problem, but I'm almost certain that's not the case.
When it comes to cleansing balms, it really is totally efficacious based for me. Like, does it clean or does it not clean? It's so binary for me, and whether or not I think it's a good cleansing balm. I love the pharmacy one, not because of the ingredients, but because I think the performance is phenomenal. Recently, I tried the Tatcha one. I thought it worked phenomenally well as well. So when it comes down to the cleansing balms, it really comes down to performance. Now, with something like this, I really think the best way to test it is usually on something like mascara, something that's very difficult to remove. But if it can remove it both gently and effectively, then I think that's kind of the test of it. So from an ingredient standpoint, works well, separates a little bit regardless of whether it's just our bottle or not. It's a clear sign that there is a separation of oil. So if you just bought a bottle off the shelf, you may want to shake it up a little bit just to kind of re-emulsify the oil with the rest of the balm. But again, this is something that can work well, and it really is going to depend on your preference and whether or not it removes your makeup well. So next, there's just one more sunscreen that I want to mention here and then see how well this blends with our skin. So I love this concept of SPF that has a little bit more in it. So this is an SPF 50. This is a chemical sunscreen entirely. But what's nice about this one is that it also has a 5% vitamin C in it, which is kind of nice. And it also is like a little bit of that off-tone color. So it's like that peachy sort of color. Again, super lightweight. It's very similar to the blue one I showed, which can make me a little nervous that I'm gonna have the same itching problem that I had with the other product, but you know, TBD. How glowy do I look?
Good. Looks glowy. It blends, of course it blends. It's purely chemical, and then a little bit of tint. It's kind of interesting and nice how, you know, the tint never matches your skin color perfectly, but it often doesn't matter. It always just kind of sets in. Yeah, looks good. I do also love the antioxidant plus sunscreen thing. It simplifies your routine. It elevates the sunscreen. So that was one I was going to talk about as well. I like that combination quite a bit.
So let's move on to the treatments, because I think treatments is where Paula's Choice really excels. There are a lot of great cleansers out there. There are a lot of great moisturizers. There are a lot of great sunscreens out there. And it's difficult to be a leader in these because it really is going to come down to preference. Do you like a lightweight gel texture? Do you like a heavy cream? This is really going to come down to your preference. Where I think Paula's Choice really excels is with these heavy hitting active treatments and the percentages that they use in these active treatments. So let's start this all off with one of my favorite products from Paula's Choice, which is the 10% azelaic acid product. So this is a 10% azelaic acid, 1 fluid ounce. It also has licorice root and salicylic acid. Now, the one downside of this, right, is it's 10% azelaic acid and it's not gritty like the one from The Ordinary. It's much nicer formula, but if you have azelaic acid, you really need like 10% of azelaic acid at a minimum. But a lot of them can be kind of like gritty and don't rub in nicely to the skin, but this one rubs in beautifully. It's a very elegant formula. So what are you using azelaic acid for? This is great for acne. It's great for any dark spots or discoloration. It's great for people who get acne that's followed by post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. It's great for rosacea, and it's one of the few acne ingredients that's safe in pregnancy. A lot of acne ingredients are not safe to use in pregnancy. The downside is that they threw salicylic acid in it, which makes it a product that you would have to questionably recommend in pregnancy.
Yeah, and that's the best way to say it. Like, we don't know with those concentrations how safe they are topically for pregnancy, but it'd be much nicer if it was just like a clear-cut azelaic acid. Because from us in the office, like the one time we will consistently use azelaic acid is for the pregnant patient with acne. That's when we're like scraping and looking for anything that can help and be safe. And the over-the-counter recommendations, I mean, you'd probably exclude this just out of caution.
Next up, when we're talking about treatments, we cannot talk about Paula's Choice without talking about the 2% BHA liquid exfoliant. Now, this product is probably one of the most viral products. Like I said, created 25 years ago, probably one of the most viral products ever. This is doing like 100,000 units or more per month. It's a crazy, crazy amount of people that buy this product. First product I was ever introduced to from Paula's Choice. And I think it was like one of the skincare influencers who actually kind of like put me onto this. So I think this is a great product. You know, it's super simple. It's basically like 5 ingredients, salicylic acid, 2%, and like green tea. Really good. I really kind of target it more at my T-zone because I tend to be dry on the rest of my face, a little bit more oily in the T-zone. Plus in the T-zone, I get a lot of those sebaceous filaments and blackheads. So I really just kind of like targeted on that area mostly. What's great about it is because it's more of that like toner or essence consistency, it's really nice to layer with your other products. So you could cleanse, apply this, and then apply the rest of your routine over it, and you're not gonna have any trouble with it because it basically evaporates and just kind of like sets into your skin super nicely without any pilling.
What's that smell?
Sal acid, probably.
I love sal acid smell. Like, it's like a citrus floral. I don't know. I'm just appreciating this at the moment. The one thing I think is always funny about things that are basically like essences or toners, because this really is pretty much an essence, is that it says to apply over the face and neck with a cotton pad, do not rinse. Why the cotton pad? I've never understood the essence to cotton pad combination. It makes no sense to me. It's not necessary. Just hands are acceptable. If anything, it maybe drips a little bit more if you use your hands.
I even have the special edition of this one from the holiday. So this is their gold version of this. It's not any different. It's just in gold packaging. So pretty cool stuff. So overall, this is a great product, great for people with oily skin, great for people with blemish prone skin, and is their most viral product, most purchased product. And if you're gonna try any product from Paula's Choice, I always think this is a good starter product for you. Now let's go on to their treatments. And this is where one criticism is gonna come in from Paula's Choice. And that's when we're talking about their niacinamide lineup. So they have 2 niacinamide products, a 10% niacinamide booster and a 20% niacinamide treatment. So let's talk talk about the 10% niacinamide. Now, when we talked about niacinamide, it's one of the first videos we've ever done. We'll try to link it above. In that video, we mentioned that anything over 5% niacinamide has never really been studied and it's really never been shown to have benefit. And all the studies that we talk about that we say niacinamide is a great ingredient for skin tone, for brightening, for collagen support, for barrier support, for sallowness, all these different things that niacinamide does has been shown to be beneficial at the 5% concentration or less. So when you see a 10% niacinamide, you're like, do I really need 10%? It's double what the recommended amount is. Maybe that's good. But then you get up into like the 20% and it's like, wow, okay. Now you're more likely to get irritation the more you have of anything. So it's not like the more of things, the better it is. Sometimes less is more. So just be thoughtful about that. You don't need a 20% niacinamide treatment.
Right, exactly. The studies, again, 5% is sufficient for pretty much all your clinical endpoints. There have been some studies on like irritation potential. And so I can like say between 10 and 15%, you're probably going to tolerate it. Not that it's more effective, but that the tolerability perhaps isn't terrible. But then you get a 20%, and you're really quite far off of the ideal concentration, balancing effectiveness and utility and irritation. So this one, the 20%, really I think is just unnecessary. You can just use the 10% and you don't need to find a way forward from there. Like that's where you end. 10% is more than enough than what you need. From my angle, it looks like he's putting it in his eye.
Next, when it comes to treatments, let's talk about their vitamin C. So we mentioned this in our vitamin C video, but this is your classic vitamin C, vitamin E, and ferulic acid in one product. They have upgraded this formula from the previous version. So it was simply vitamin C, E, and ferulic acid before. Now it's vitamin C, E, ferulic acid, and ergothioneine. So it really just kind of helps to stabilize, give you more antioxidant benefits. This one is oxidized a little bit because it comes completely clear, but now it's slightly yellow. So that's what you're gonna expect with any pure vitamin C product.
Yeah, honestly, just because of how long things sit on the shelf, I expect this just to be like a rusty brown at this point. And I think that kind of speaks to the stability of this, because unbeknownst to you, I was digging through your closet this morning looking for any non-oxidized vitamin C, and it does not exist. But this is actually pretty good in terms of like shelf life and stability. What's the cost on this one though? Because when it comes to vitamin C, you want, in my opinion, like a tried and true version of it. I think L-ascorbic is the premier, and then there's a couple other options that are acceptable. And then you want a reasonable concentration. And we know for a fact and from studies that although the effectiveness of vitamin C does increase as you increase the concentration, it peaks at 20%. No further benefits are seen from vitamin C concentrations above 20%, and irritation potential also increases. So like 10 to 20% is your window, 15 is like perfectly right in the middle. If you wanted to, you can go 5. There's studies on 5% vitamin C working. So concentration is good. Price point,
probably in the $50 to $60 range.
Say 55, it's on sale, allegedly 55. So
so we'll try to link below with the discount for you. We're gonna do our best to reach out to Paula's Choice team, see if we can get a discount. So if you look in the links below, we'll hopefully get you a discount on any products we're talking about here.
Yeah, perfect. So I mean, really good. So concentration, price, formulation is all very good. For a vitamin C, really no knock on it. I think it's great. And then we have another liquid exfoliant, the skin perfecting 6% mandelic acid, 2% lactic acid, liquid exfoliant. So we had a BHA exfoliant, right? So salicylic acid. Does not make you more sensitive to the sun, good for oil, it's lipophilic, breaks down oil, helps remove oil control, all that stuff, right? So then we have the counterpart, your alpha hydroxy acids. These do make you more sensitive to the sun. Lactic acid is really nice because it also actually moisturizes a little bit as it exfoliates. Mandelic acid, I think to a lesser extent, but is a little bit more gentle.
So again, that real toner consistency with this one, and this is 6% mandelic, 2% lactic acid. So mandelic acid is one of the larger size alpha hydroxy acids. And so because it's a larger size, it doesn't penetrate as deeply into the skin. And so it's usually my preferred exfoliant for people with sensitive skin. And that or PHA, but mandelic acid is really a great ingredient for people who want to exfoliate but also have sensitive skin. Then you add lactic acid, which is slightly moisturizing, and you put it in a time-released formula, and this is a great product for people who have sensitive skin but want to exfoliate.
Okay, now smell this product.
This to me smells like alcohol.
Really?
Like it smells like vodka.
Where is it?
Even though there's no alcohol in it.
I'm really enjoying the sensorial experience here of Paula's Choice. It's completely fragrance-free. But I'm loving the smell of ingredients. Like, you know what this is like? This is wine tasting. This is like wine tasting for me, which I don't drink hardly ever. I actually know nothing about wine, but this is like the subtle notes. It's like, you know, the fruitiness of the something and something.
Maybe there is like a wine scent.
Yeah, it's kind of whiny.
It's interesting. I'm trying to look at it and see like which extract is causing this. It could be the bayberry fruit extract or the chocolate vine stem extract or the cherry blossom extract.
Oh, that's got it. Yeah, that's it. It has to be that. It smells slightly cherryish.
Yeah, so there is like almost like a wine smell to it, which I just feel like I can smell it from people's dinner. I can like, I feel it. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, very good for sensitive skin. Maybe there's some resveratrol hidden in here somewhere because of the wine elements to it. So Paula's Choice has a ton of different exfoliants out there. And so they have a 10% AHA body lotion, a 2% anti-redness salicylic acid product, an 8% AHA gel, 1% BHA for sensitive skin, 4% BHA for pore refining, 10% AHA for advanced smoothing. And so the list goes on and on and on with how many different exfoliants they have. But I'm gonna try to break it down super easy for you. You just gotta find the one that you like. On the way end of this spectrum, they finally have a peel that is a 25% AHA, 2% BHA. It's a purple solution. It's really beautiful, but it's only meant to be left on for 10 minutes and then you wash it off. It's meant to be basically similar to the Ordinary's peeling solution, that red solution that you saw on social media, and L'Oreal's new green solution that you're gonna be seeing on social media as well. And so this falls into that category. It works extremely well, but it's meant to be used only once a week, and you're supposed to leave it on for only about 10 minutes at a time. Now, when evaluating the exfoliating line from Paula's Choice, which is one of my favorite ones, I'll make it really simple for you. If you have oily or acne-prone skin, go with the 2% BHA liquid exfoliant, the classic. If you have more sensitive skin, go with this 6% mandelic, 2% lactic acid solution. And if you fall somewhere in between all of that and you have normal skin, go with their glycolic acid product. And that's really kind of how you're gonna pick your exfoliant. And then finally, if you have acne or you have post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation and concurrently have acne, then go with the 10% azelaic acid solution.
That actually helps a lot because they do have a ton of products kind of in the same category. It actually just reminded me of like a throwback to the bubble video when we were like struggling over the moisturizers and there was just like so much overlap, like very similar, and he kind of did the same thing. He's like, all right, enough. So now we're gonna go into the moisturizers, and this is kind of another way to protect your skin barrier, and kind of like, again, a supporting role in terms of the Paula's Choice world. Ones I actually particularly like. So there's a repair serum and there's a repair moisturizer. And I think there's a couple unique things about these. I like the serum because of my skin type. The texture is going to be an issue for some. This is very high in glycerin and it feels like it. It's kind of thick, but I guess unlike the Anua one that we talked about, that dark spots serum, for some reason, even though it's like second on the ingredient list, it's not as tacky. So I actually don't mind the texture here. I think the ingredients here with the ceramides, beta-glucan, it's a pretty simple product actually. It is pretty soothing. It never messes with my irritated skin. I find it like a really nice way to heal it up if it's irritated or damaged from other products. Similarly, the Rescue Repair Moisturizer, hexapeptidate glycogen, is an option if you want something a little bit heavier.
So these are your kind of lightweight moisturizers. They're really meant for more of your sensitive skin. Anytime you see the green packaging with Paula's Choice, it's really that calm line for them. And then finally, this is a newer moisturizer for them. It came out probably within the last year and a half. This is their Barrier Repair Advanced Moisturizer. And this has many different types of ceramides in it and also some peptides in it. So incorporating some of that new peptide technology, but it's kind of like a mid-weight cream, I would describe it as, going a little bit more towards a heavier cream. And for somebody who has like more of that combination skin, more of that dry skin than he does, this is gonna be like my preferred range of moisturizer from them. I just really like something that's a little bit heavier, something that when I wake up, like my skin feels hydrated. And more than ever, I don't know if it was because I was in London recently, my skin was like super dry. I don't know what I was doing. I think it's probably the water. I think water is a major culprit in a lot of this, but this to me is really just a wonderful, thicker moisturizer.
I mean, I think all these though really do an amazing job because Paula's Choice is fragrance free, because they have like a pretty stringent ingredient list. Like the thing I don't like a lot of times is a moisturizer that also has irritating ingredients, because it's just like completely counteracting the whole purpose of protecting and repairing a skin barrier. But yeah, I think all of these are very thoughtful. Depending on your skin type, I think is gonna be how you pick your moisturizer from. Paula's Choice.
Now let's move on to the retinoid section of Paula's Choice, which is really a treatment similar to your exfoliants. But again, I think Paula's Choice really excels in this category. Now they tend to be a little bit pricier in this category, so they seem to price their retinoids a little bit higher. And from somebody who now formulates a line, I sort of understand that retinoids tend to be the biggest cost driver in any formula. So if you have retinol in the formula, it may be accounting for more than half the cost of that formula. Every other ingredient is really just the other half, right? So I'm gonna again try to simplify this for everybody as much as possible. They have really 3 retinoids that are worth looking into, and their most advanced one that just came out is actually super interesting to me. So they have the 0.3% retinol. This is gonna be the one for sensitive skin. And it's 0.3% plus bakuchiol. It's really for your beginner retinoid in the Paula's Choice range. Then they have a 1% retinol. That's gonna be your intermediate, somebody who's a little bit used to it, wants something that's gentle but still effective. And then finally, they have their pro retinaldehyde serum. This is a dual retinoid treatment. It has both adapanoid and it has retinaldehyde in one formula. So it's 2 different types of retinoids, and that combined makes it extremely effective. So when you think about retinol, it's converted to retinaldehyde, which is then converted into retinoic acid to become active in the skin. So having retinaldehyde makes it one step closer to being that active form.
Yeah, people swear by retinaldehyde. I actually think the population of people where retinaldehyde is their go-to retinoid is becoming quite large. It always gives you this like neon yellow coloring, which I guess love it or hate it. I'm not sure I really care either way.
It's this beautiful, beautiful yellow color. And the reason why it's that neon yellow color is because of the retinaldehyde. Retinaldehyde is a powder that is straight neon yellow in brick format. So really a beautiful, beautiful color in my opinion. Now I have had somebody tell me that it's stained their nails before, this yellow color to it, but it really is a power-packed formula for somebody who's looking for a more advanced retinoid. Short of going to the prescription route, this would be probably your next best option.
And the adapanoid component, that's hopefully a kind of precursor for adapalene, which is the over-the-counter one that's amazing for acne. That's in this as well. I'm personally looking to see where time and studies go with that ingredient to see how effective it is. It's gram-active retinoid to tretinoin is kind of like the adapanoid to adapalene. And we'll see kind of where both of those ingredients live in the future, but there is a lot of potential upside with that ingredient as well.
Again, this range is really thoughtful. If you're a beginner, start with the 0.3. If you're more advanced, go with the pro retinaldehyde. And if you're going to move on to prescription, you can check out Script, a Dr. Maxfield original if you want to get tretinoin online.
Yep, perfect. So yep, that is always an option. Thank you for that. So that sums up the highlights from Paula's Choice, a brand we absolutely love. If you're new to skincare, it's actually a great place to start because of the education they put behind each of theirs. And honestly, even if you're buying like a product from someone else, you can still go to their website and find it helpful. They also have this scanner. You can actually scan your ingredient list and it will plug it into their system and it'll kind of show you what each ingredient does. So super educational focused, tons of respect for Paula and her brand. Now it's just up to you to decide if you want any of these products. Hopefully we have a discount code for you to help you get some.
So if you want to just go there for the education, I think it's a really, really thoughtful website. I find it very unusual for me to disagree with anything that's on there. Of course, a lot of what's on there is then represented into their formulas, and some people will criticize that. Well, you say not to use fragrance and then you don't use fragrance in your products. But of course, like if you believe something, of course you're going to incorporate those into your products. So I don't find that there's anything wrong with that. I know that alcohol is something that they don't use in any of their products. This is something that I've been a long-term adopter of because it stings my skin. It's very uncomfortable. Now, does alcohol really even dry out the skin? There's actually probably some studies that show that it probably doesn't really have any truly negative benefits on most people's skin. But if you have sensitive skin, you might find that it's burning or irritating. So they don't use alcohol in any of their products either. We don't use alcohol in any of our products, but is it really that dangerous of an ingredient? Probably not in the long term.
Right, and that's just one of those conversations that changes with time, but it's always personalized, so that way you can know your skin. If alcohol's a problem, skip it, etc., etc., etc. So thank you so much for tuning in to this video about Paula's Choice. We hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what brand you want us to talk about next time, and we will see you then.